Hello everyone, back tuning into GavsWeathers.com on your New Year's Eve. So, a final video of the year, of course, and we're going to be talking about weather for the next week to 10 days for this video. It's going to take us to around the 9th, 10th of January, and we'll be able to extend that beyond that with the extended GFS and ECM ensembles. Rain runs around a couple of weeks, of course. Have a look at CFSV2 at the end of the video for the next month. Well, it's New Year's Eve, so it's our last video of the year. So before I do anything else, I'm going to say hello, thank you very much to all of our PayPal donors throughout this year. Big thank you to all of you. You've had loads of donations throughout the year. You've all been helping to pay for GavsWeathers.com and keep the content online. So, for each and every one of you, I just want to say thank you so much for your donations throughout this year. And Happy New Year. I hope you have a great time tonight. And I hope 2020 brings you everything that you wanted. So, just thank you so much to all of our PayPal donors throughout the whole of this year. We have had a PayPal donation as well, so I'm going to say hello, thank you very much, and Happy New Year to our latest donor, Kevin Nazarenko. Kevin Nazarenko has become our latest donor for GavsWeathers. So a big thank you to Kevin for doing that. Thank you so much, my friend, for giving us this donation. And again, just a happy new year to you and your family. And we hope that 2020 brings you everything that you could ever have hoped for. So big thank you to all of the donors. If you would like to become a PayPal donor for GavsWeathers, all you need to do is come to the GavsWeathers PayPal page, sign into your PayPal account, and then you can give a donation to GavsWeathers however much you want, and you'll get a shout out in videos as long as you want one. If you'd rather stay anonymous, then just leave a little note with your donation. And next thing is to say hello and also thank you very much, and of course Happy New Year to all of our patrons. So we have 67 patrons for GavsWeathers, and again, just thank you so much to all of you for your support during 2019. You have been helping us to pay for GavsWeathers.com to fund the website and also to keep the content online. So again, just a huge thank you to all of our patrons. We really couldn't do GavsWeathers.com now without your donations and your support. So thank you so much to our patrons, and Happy New Year again. We hope that all of our patrons have a wonderful time tonight, whatever you're doing, and also that 2020 is just a great year for you all and brings you everything that you want. If you'd like to become a patron for GavsWeathers, then all you need to do is come to the GavsWeathers Patreon page. You sign up for a Patreon account, assuming you don't already have one, and then you can give a monthly ongoing donation to GavsWeathers. Of course, you can cancel it at any time, but the idea with this is that it's a monthly donation. And again, it can be anything from $1 a month upwards. You pool in with all of the other patrons. And yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. So thank you so much to all of our patrons. Thank you so much to all of our donors. Happy New Year to each and every one of you. And a big thank you to Kevin Nazarenko. And Happy New Year, Kevin. Thank you so much for doing that. Right, so first thing we're going to do is have a look at this. This is what's happening this day in 1978. Now, that is 41 years ago, and we was having a tremendous blizzard and snowstorm. Look at that. We've got the jet stream travelling down into the Bay of Biscay, into northern parts of Spain and Portugal with this black line going down there. Loads of high pressure sitting up towards Greenland, low pressure coming through the Atlantic into southern England and northern France, and bitter cold easterly winds on the northern side of those low pressures, turning the rain to snow. And this was a tremendous snowstorm and blizzard that we had over the new year of 1978-1979. Let's have a look at the upper air temperatures for New Year's Eve 1978. There we go. Bitterly cold air being fed in from the east. Minus 15 Celsius ice firm is pushing through the UK. That's classic beast from the east. Of course, it wouldn't have been called a beast from the east then, but if it happened now, that would definitely be called a beast from the east. If we go through to New Year's Day. Let's see if we can do that and have a look at New Year's Day 1979. So let's just flip this over and then move to New Year's Day. So that's how things were looking on the first day of January for 1979. So then high pressure begins to build over the top of the country. We take the low pressure way to the east. We have these bitterly cold east winds, and then the high pressure sort of builds in across the country during the course of New Year's Day 1979. So after the snow, we get the freezing cold temperatures. It all freezes up, and it was a very, very extremely cold New Year indeed. It's now 41 years since we have had a New Year blizzard like that. Makes you wonder how much longer we have to wait before we get those sort of charts over the New Year. Maybe it won't be too much longer, but we shall see. It's certainly not going to be this year, though. Let's have a look at 1996. That was also a pretty cold New Year's Eve, so we'll go over to the 31st of December. I should have got all these charts loaded up before I start, shouldn't I? It's very cumbersome, Weather Central, for these historic charts. So that's how things look on New Year's Eve 1996. Again, pretty cold, nowhere near as severe as 78, 79, but it does have a high pressure to the north of Scotland. We're bringing in a cold easterly wind, and if we go through to New Year's Day 1997, we can see that continues with the... that's gone wrong again. I said, very, very cumbersome to use this new Weather Central version compared to the old one. So that's New Year's Day 1997 with the high pressure again sitting to the northwest of Scotland, and we're bringing in those cold east winds, but again nowhere near as severe as New Year's Day 78, 79. There was quite a bit of snow around during the New Year of 96, 97 though, particularly across northern parts of England, but you see how much less extensive the cold pool is in 96, 97 compared to 78, 79. So a couple of things I thought about for this year while we're reminiscing. So we have mainly this year is remembered for quite a lot of very warm weather. So what we have to do with that is go up here and then go there. And so we have had quite a bit of warm weather through this year. The first sort of highlight of the year, I suppose, was in February of 2019, where we set a new temperature record for the month of February. So if we are going to move this over, let's see if we can do that. There we go. So that's the chart for the 25th of February 2019. High pressure dominates, sitting over and just to the east of the country, drawing up wind from the south. Look at the upper air temperatures, and we see the UK bathed in really warm upper air temperatures. That got the temperature to 20 degrees for the first time in February in the UK, and I think probably for the first time during the winter, although maybe December has reached 20 degrees, I'm not sure. But anyway, it was a new all-time February temperature record, reached 21 degrees in parts of Wales, and or reached 20 degrees in parts of Wales. It beat the old February temperature record from 1998. That's the 25th of February 2019, and then interestingly we go through to 25th of July 2019, and with that one we can see that again we did have a very, very hot day indeed. That's the chart for the 25th of July 2019. High pressure was sitting to the east, low pressure was out to the west, and if we have a look at the upper air temperatures, again very, very hot day, really, really hot day indeed. So that lifted the temperature up to 38 degrees. It was an all-time UK temperature record. It beat 2003, which was the previous UK temperature record. I think it happened at Cambridge, didn't it? Was it Cambridge Botanical Gardens? So yeah, it's been a year of very warm conditions. Interesting that the February record went on the 25th of February, and the all-time temperature record went on the 25th of July. But there we go. It has been a year of pretty warm weather, to say the least, and I guess it's going to be another warm year. Certainly not the warmest year that we've ever had, but it is going to be another really warm year during the course of 2019. Right, so moving on with the current weather, and we can see that the central England temperature hasn't really moved over the past couple of days. So provisional up to the 30th of December, we're still sitting at 6.0, an anomaly of 1.3 degrees above average. That's not going to get much higher than that. There's no chance now that we beat November. So for a while, we did wonder whether this December could come out warmer than the month before it, warmer than November. There's no chance of that happening. Now, I don't think for today the CET is going to move any further than 6.0. Then we will get a downwards correction. So I think we're probably going to finish up somewhere around 5.7 or perhaps 5.8. So we're going to finish up just underneath 6 degrees. It will be a cooler December compared to last year when we was over 6 degrees, quite well over 6 degrees. So it might have an average, so it's going to be around a degree above average, I think, for this December, coming out somewhere around 5.7 or 5.8, but it won't be as warm as or it won't be warmer than November. It won't be as warm as December last year either. So, heading off into the new year, this is the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensemble graph for London. The red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for London. That's where we are right now. So we're very substantially above average with the upper air temperatures, but we're not necessarily feeling it down on the ground at the moment. I'm going to stay pretty mild, quite warm over the next couple of days down in London. Then temperatures drop towards the end of the week and into weekend. A little bit of a cold snap turning up, then only lasts a couple of days when temperatures are lifting up. However, it may take a little while for surface temperatures to lift up, particularly across England and Wales. More about that in a moment. And then going through the second week of January, this period just here, we're generally hovering quite close to the 30-year temperature average. Precipitation wise, so lots of dry weather coming up through the first week of January, maybe going a little bit more unsettled after that. As I've been saying in videos a lot recently, we have entered a drier phase. There is some uncertainty, but you see in a moment within the model output as to what happens as we get towards the end of the first week of January. Do we start to turn things much more unsettled, or do we maintain a more anti-cyclonic type scenario? But definitely, anyway, for the next few days, first sort of 5 days of January, there is a lot of dry weather on offer. There will be a little bit of rain around Friday, Thursday to Friday, as a cold front drops southwards and introduces this little cold snap. But that rain, particularly in the south and southeast, is going to be quite light and probably won't do a great deal. Temperature anomalies from the 31st of December, New Year's Eve, to the 8th of January look like that. Actually, we're going a little bit cooler than average for England and Wales. Scotland and Northern Ireland coming out very close to average, but for England and Wales a little bit below average. France, Spain and Portugal also looking a little bit below average. Very much above average though for Scandinavia, western parts of Russia and eastern parts of Europe. Precipitation anomalies continue to be drier than average from New Year's Eve to the 8th of January. So we have entered into a drier phase of weather most definitely. This is the midnight run of the GFS. I'll talk about 6 o'clock run in a moment. Midnight run of the GFS brings this cold front in from the Atlantic on Friday, Thursday through to Friday. That take a band of rain southwards and eastwards. The rain becomes light and patchy, I think, as it gets to the southeast, but it does introduce a brief push of colder air from the north. So as we go through to Saturday, it will be getting a bit cold, especially for northern parts of the country. There could be some snow showers Saturday across northern and eastern Scotland. But the high pressure is very quickly moving in from off the Atlantic, cutting off that northerly. However, this high pressure is within quite cold air, so underneath the high, it will be a relatively cold weekend, especially for England and Wales, with the chance of some widespread frost. That's Monday next week, already starting to reintroduce a milder west-southwesterly for Scotland and Northern Ireland. For England and Wales, we're still under this ridge of high pressure, so still quite cold, dry and frosty. And then the midnight run of the GFS is interesting because whilst it did turn things milder in the northern half of the country, Scotland and Northern Ireland, it kept England and Wales under this anticyclonic influence, with the high pressure actually centred over Germany and Poland, but exerting enough of an influence to England and Wales to keep it mainly dry and cold. There's the upper air temperatures for Tuesday, 7th of January on the midnight run of the GFS. Quite mild in the north, probably about average across England and Wales, but if you look at the dew point, that tells a story, and it's much colder for England and Wales than the upper air temperatures would suggest in terms of what's happening on the surface. So that would indicate a very frosty early part of next week across England and Wales, and this high pressure then continues to exert its influence through much of next week for England and Wales. So again, more frosty and cold conditions on Wednesday. Thursday, the Atlantic tries to come in, but for England and Wales, we're still more or less under that high pressure. Upper air temperatures looking nice and mild, actually, by Thursday across much of the country. But look at the dew point. Most places having a widespread, and you have to say pretty hard frost, very cold across central western parts of Europe, by the way. Germany looks like it's having really freezing cold weather under that area of high pressure. This is classic winter high pressure type weather where it might be mild a lot, but down on the surface that doesn't make much difference. It's going to be cold, frosty and icy, especially through many central parts of Europe. And even up to day 10, this high pressure continues on the midnight GFS run to exert its influence away to the east, building into the country. It's not really until the more extended range of the midnight GFS run that we finally start to stir up the atmosphere and bring up these southerly winds. So then the mild air aloft would descend and we would start to increase the surface temperature. But for much of next week, England and Wales is kept cold, dry and frosty with that midnight GFS run. By the end of it, it's starting to turn wet and windy from off the Atlantic, with the high pressure slinking back towards the Ukraine and the Black Sea. That was the midnight run. This is the 6 o'clock run, the latest. Again, cold front drops southwards and eastwards on Friday, bringing a band of rain, probably turning increasingly light and patchy as it moves southeastwards. Then high pressure topples in from the Atlantic over the weekend. Could be quite cold in that area of high pressure with risk of frost, especially so for England and Wales. Early next week, southwesterly is re-establishing in the north, so it becomes milder. Scotland and Northern Ireland. But for England and Wales, we're still under this ridge on Monday, so still quite dry, cold and frosty bed, and probably lasting into Tuesday as well for England and Wales. By Wednesday, though, different to the midnight run, the 6 o'clock run is starting to push this milder west-southwesterly even down into south and south-east. You see that the dew points are only below freezing 6 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday in this far southeastern corner, nowhere near as cold and frosty as the midnight GFS run was next week. Although it isn't very far away, those freezing cold dew points are over Germany, Low Countries, France. So again, it would only take a very slight and subtle adjustment for next week to actually be a very cold week from frost. Not snow. It's not going to be cold enough for the upper air temperatures for there to be snow. They would only take a very slight adjustment for England and Wales to have really a very cold week from frosty and maybe foggy conditions with these freezing cold surface temperatures just over the other side of the North Sea. And then different again with 6 o'clock GFS run by day 10, we're actually into a westerly flow, turning much more unsettled by that point. And then as we go up to more extended range with this GFS run, where it tries to build up some high pressure over Scandinavia. In fact, it does develop a Scandinavian high by the middle of January, as far as we can go with the GFS today to the 16th of January. It's building a high pressure over Scandinavia, but we're still kept in these Atlantic winds, not particularly warm Atlantic winds, but low pressure still driving in from off the Atlantic. But it is having a go at building up a Scandinavian high there by the end of the 6 o'clock GFS run. GEM looks like that. So again, the cold front's dropping southeastwards on Friday, introducing this rather cooler feel for the weekend. Although the GEM is re-establishing a southwesterly to Scotland Northern Ireland as early as Sunday. The GFS much more delayed in doing that. Early next week, the GEM then turns unsettled. Low pressure comes back in off the Atlantic very quickly, so no suggestion of frost for England and Wales for the early part of next week. We're quickly back into Atlantic driven weather. And then just unsettled really with the GEM up to day 10, which is the 10th of January. Low pressure still in control of the weather pattern. So the GEM is much more unsettled as early as around sort of the 5th, 6th of January for most parts of the country. GEM does tend to overdo low pressure a little bit, but I have noticed that before. ECMWF looking like that, so the cold front's dropping southwards and eastwards on Friday. Less of a northerly though, and that was the case yesterday as well. So even at the weekend, there's uncertainty. We're only talking about weather in like 3 days' time. But how much of an influence we get from the north from Friday to Saturday, there is still a bit of doubt about that, would you believe, within the model output. The GFS definitely wants to bring a little bit more of a northerly compared to the GEM and particularly the ECM. So by Sunday, well, we're bringing back southwesterlies to the northern part of the country at a high pressure for England and Wales, probably fairly cold over the weekend down in the south. But there's going to be early part of next week, similar to what the GM is showing actually. Westerlies quickly re-established by the 7th of January. We're back under those mild westerly, southwesterly winds. And as we get up towards day 10, that's how we look, still generally mild and Atlantic driven. So out of all of the models, if you want some cold weather, the GFS is definitely the one to root for. Only, again, I have to emphasise cold from frost, not particularly from true Arctic or Siberian cold. It's low-level continental cold. Some people regard that as faux cold or fake cold, but to me, cold is cold if it's frosty and the temperature's down to -5 or -6, -7. It doesn't really matter whether that is happening from a Siberian EC or it's happening from an inversion. It still feels as cold either way, really. So the GFS is the one to root for, but the GEM and the ECM are definitely milder. GFS one to root for if you want something a bit colder next week. And that's particularly for England and Wales. These are the options that are on the table within the ECM ensembles today for day 10, which is the 10th of January. We have 18 members of the ECM ensembles with high pressure sitting over and to the south of the country, low pressures up to the north. That's going to be pretty mild, bringing the wind from west-southwest. That includes the operational and the control ECM run. 18, another 18, a much more unsettled low pressure is driving in from the Atlantic with these. So a little bit cooler and definitely more unsettled with that option. And then 15 have high pressure sitting just a little bit to our east, low pressure out to the northwest. That's kind of similar to what the midnight GFS run was doing. So those 15 are mild of Scotland and Northern Ireland, but for England and Wales, due to probably pulling wind in from the continent, may be quite cold and frosty there at day 10 with those. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. This gets us to the 18th. No, it doesn't get us to the 15th of January. 18 members of the ECM ensembles have high pressure sitting just to our east, mainly dry, possibly a little bit cold with those if the winds are coming off the continent. 16 with high pressure centres sort of over France. And flabby lows to the north and west. I think that's generally quite a mild option. 9 looking very unsettled with low pressure still driving in off the Atlantic. Probably quite cool with those. And then 8, just here we've got 8 that are building up a northern blocking feature. They've got high pressure to the north of Scotland to Scandinavia, so a Scandinavian high, low pressure to the south, and will be bringing in cold or maybe even bitterly cold easterly winds for mid-January. With those, it's definitely a minority option, significant minority option of just 8. So by mid of January, we might be turning things colder. However, I think overall the ECM ensembles are probably favouring, even up to mid of January, something rather milder continuing. Finally, let's just have a look at CFS V2 before we wrap up this New Year's Eve video. So these are the 500 millibar height anomalies broken down into weekly periods from the CFS V2. The first week period takes us from the 31st of December to the 6th of January, and the coming week has high pressure centred over the country, mainly dry, and as we've already established, getting a little bit colder as well, especially over the weekend. Week 2 is the 7th to the 13th of January with high pressure still in control, a little bit to our south this time, low pressure out to the northwest, rather milder west or southwesterly winds feeding into that area of high pressure. Week 3 is going to be the 14th to the 20th of January, high pressure centred over France, then dragging up mild or very mild southwesterly. There's a lot of dry weather on offer, especially for England and Wales, but it would be mild. And then finally, week 4 is the 21st to 27th of January. Absolutely nothing cold doing here at all. If you want cold weather during January, this one has high pressure centred over the Alps and is drawing up a very mild south to southwesterly flow. A little bit of high pressure trying to build up towards Svalbard, but unless we was to start to run the jet stream in and get rid of this high that's sitting over Central and Southern Europe, it would be curtains to any possibility of trying to draw in cold air from the north. So the CFS definitely keeping it mild or very mild for most of January. Oh, well, finally, before we go, I just want to say thank you so much to all of you for watching and subscribing and for helping us grow GazWeathers.com and the GazWeathers YouTube channel over the past year. It's been another tremendous year of growth. So these are the latest statistics on the YouTube channel. We currently have 6,200 subscribers and 4,333,208 video views. So we're on our way up towards 4.5 million video views for the YouTube channel. That's not for this year though, that's all time, going back to when we started the channel. Back in, I think it's March 2014, with currently 6,200 subscribers. So the channel has continued to grow this year, as has the website. So a big thank you to all of you for your support during 2019, whether you've been a patron or a donor, or whether you've watched the videos or you've gone to GazWeathers.com and watch the videos there, or whether you've read the written stuff that we do on GazWeathers. We have the blog, we have Terry Scully's page, we have the daily weather summary, so there's plenty of written content at GazWeathers.com. However you get your information, whether it's through the videos or through the written content, then just thank you so much to all of you for your support this year. And as long as you keep supporting us, as long as you want to see the content that we're producing, we're very, very happy to keep producing it into 2020 and beyond. So I think that pretty much wraps it up. All that's left to say is have a great New Year's Eve. Thank you so much for your support this year. Have a great New Year's Eve. Yeah, there's nothing else left to say, I don't think. So have a great time tonight. And I'll see you next year. That's all for now, though. And thanks for watching.